This is a 6-lane motorway. And these are train tracks. Here we've got north and south. Here we've got the dedicated north and south lines, a siding and a bypass line. They take up very little space. They're not very loud, and they are 100% electric. These tracks can carry cargo. They can carry passengers. At peak, the commuter train service can transport thousands of passengers every hour. It's 100% electric. And the loudest part about it is this side road here. Okay, let me go somewhere without cars to film. Shit. Right now I'm sitting in what's left of what used to be a nature reserve. About 30 years ago, they cut right through the middle of it and built a massive highway in order to support the port to the south of here. About 10 years ago, they expanded that port and realized that the existing infrastructure was not enough to support it. And now they want to cut through another nature reserve to create a new highway. And nobody wants that. When the new highway was proposed, the Swedish Environmental Agency submitted a report stating that the entire country would fail to meet its carbon goals by building this one highway. They cited induced demand, which YouTubers like City Beautiful and Not Just Bikes can have much better videos going more in depth about that. But they cite induced demand. They cite the amount of time it would take for any kind of green alternatives to trucking and shipping. And the government has responded by saying nothing, but the plans seem to be going ahead. Proposed alternatives include trains, which are far cheaper. A double rail line is far cheaper than a 4-lane highway, and it looks like they're planning on building 6 to 8 lanes of highway to support this one port. The trains can be electrified from day one. But the highway, it'll take 30 to 50 years before it's even half electric. The trains don't need mountains of lithium to be mined out of the ground in order to be electric from day one. And the rail lines take a fraction of the space at a fraction of the cost for building, for maintenance, for just existing. Right now, the Swedish train grid, the Swedish train network is entirely renewable. As opposed to this monstrosity. There's nothing efficient about this. Now, I do a lot of my filming in this general area, and it takes me a long time to find an area that isn't full of car sounds like this is right here. I can hear this highway. I can hear this one highway for a good 10 kilometers, about 4.5 miles away from the highway. And it's a big fucking eyesore. When environmental concerns were brought up with the highway planners, they greenwashed it by saying, oh, we're planning on building a bike path next to it. But that doesn't make a difference. There are already bike paths through that area. The highway is not efficient. The majority of cars on the road have maybe 2 occupants, generally just one. One truck can only carry 1 cargo container. A train can carry as many as you want to stack onto it, as many as will fit at the harbor's existing cargo yard. They're already equipped for rail. They already use rail. This project doesn't make any sense, but there's a lot of money in it. And we're trying to move to a society less reliant on internal combustion engines, less reliant on oil and cars. And building this new highway is just going to encourage more people to drive. I'll leave links down in the description. The environmental agency's reports, as well as the link to the highway plan. If you're in the Stockholm area, especially in Södertörn, please contact your elected representatives and tell them that you don't want this, that this is not that this highway doesn't make any sense. There's no good reason to build it. It's just going to cut through more forest. It's going to cause more pollution, more noise pollution. When what we really need is a new rail line. The rail line can take an alternate route. It doesn't need to cut right through the middle like you would with a highway. You can take a slightly longer, more circuitous route, be more efficient, and still not put more trucks and cars on the road. We don't need that anymore. There is no need to increase our road capacities. What we need to do is encourage people to not use the roads. Even if you're not in this area, even if you're not in Sweden, there are new highway projects planned all over the world, especially in the US, in Germany, and that's pretty much my audience: US, Germany, Sweden. But even if you're not here, there's probably a new highway project planned in your area. And that's not what we need right now. What we need is a more robust rail network. It makes even less sense here because we already have a robust rail network. We can expand that for not a lot of money, for not a lot of effort, and we can have it fully electric from day one. We don't need to put more diesel-burning trucks and more petrol-burning cars on the road. There's absolutely zero need for that. In the US used to have the largest rail network in the world. And that most of that is gone now. And instead you rely on cars and trucks for everything. And we've seen what that does. We've seen what that's doing to the environment. We don't need that. We need a robust rail network. And we need to reduce our reliance on long-distance cargo. We need to bring back more local production of goods. While that's kind of outside of the purview of what maybe you or I could do, we can at least make some noise and try to convince our elected representatives to not fund new highway projects. We don't need them. We don't want them. And nobody wants to live under the constant oppressive roar of a highway. It's just, it doesn't make any sense. We don't need that. I was planning on making this a much longer video. I think I will be talking more about this in the future. But for now, I'm losing daylight, and I really, really need to eat my lunch. So call your representatives, bother them constantly, ask them the hard questions, and I hope together that we can put an end to expansion of damaging infrastructure and to promote a more sustainable future.
And here's the part where I talk over B-roll for 5 minutes. This and similar highway projects are unnecessary and contrary to our needs as a society, as well as the needs of human survival on this planet. According to the Swedish Environmental Protection Agency, this one road project would on its own prevent the country from reaching its already weak climate targets for 2050. Project managers tout their eco-consciousness with offering bike lanes and something called a superbus. They've been talking about this so-called superbus for 5 years, but have yet to mention anything about what it even is or what's so super about it. And it doesn't change the fact that no bus can compete with the train for efficiency or capacity. Planners also talk about how this new motorway will relieve traffic congestion in the area. This highway we're looking at right now was recently expanded as part of the same project, and it's only made the traffic worse. I'll link some videos from Vox and the YouTuber called City Beautiful on Induced Demand down in the description. I highly recommend you give them a watch after this. There should also be a card in the corner of this video if I figure out how to do that. As I said earlier, there's no need for a new highway, here or anywhere. Transportation demands may be met with far better alternatives, such as new train lines or increased service on existing train lines. In the case of Stockholm, the commuter train service doesn't run at night. We could easily run enough cargo trains during the downtime to make a sizable dent in the existing traffic. And more passenger service can do a lot to reduce car traffic as well. It'll be 30 to 50 years before we even see 50% of road traffic go green. But a rail line can be electrified on day one without need to hope for future technology to solve the problems that we're facing right now. We need to stop thinking and acting like we can push this off on future generations when we have the tools we need to act today.